Welcome to the Wednesday Call Live. Now, let's hear for our special guest host, Chris Norris.
Hey, good afternoon, Alliance family. Chris Norris from Integrity Advisory Solutions. I am here today. We are going to be discussing the estate planning seminars, how to get better at that, how to maximize your potential, and really spotlight the guys that are doing it and how they are very proficient within that. So really what we're going to talk about that today as far as making you guys successful and the guys that are successful within that. We'll spend a few minutes in the beginning just really where I think the guys that are successful within that, what are making them successful. The strategies for the estate planning seminars that we're using in today. Obviously, you guys have seen Scott Garcia. You've seen his process. I think the biggest thing when I start talking to these guys, the excitement that are around that. If you've heard us talk about it, it's a turnkey marketing platform, right? You can go out there, you can spend, X amount of dollars, and you're getting in front of 30 to 40 qualified prospects that have $500,000 and above. To me, that's what's exciting, right? I don't have to do anything when I market to it. I'm able to go and sit in front of 30 clients, and I know they have money. And if I do everything right, I'm going to be able to find a client. Again, I'm gonna pull this up. I can show you my text. I got a text here at 12:14. And this is from one of the advisors. This is from Belle Kraus. She just told me she's putting $1 million under management from an ITS client. That is what's exciting. I know that is something that she was able to do from one of the seminars that she got. I know one of the guests on here, and I'll let him tell you, I know that he's found another $2 million that's there. That's what's exciting is that for the work that they're doing, the fact that they sent these mailers out, that's the potential that you're able to find. You're able to go out, you're able to meet with, you're able to spend an hour and a half with folks, and that you're able to put that kind of money, into annuities. You're able to put it under, assets under management, but you're able to find that kind of money, spending an hour and a half, and then coming out and spending another hour with clients. We don't know that you're able to do that with any other lead sources out there and really not having to do anything else outside of spend, an hour to 2 hours with a qualified lead. To me, that's exciting. Does it take time? Yes. Does it take planning? Yes. But it doesn't take me doing anything else outside of, hey, I'm going to spend this money and they're going to do the mailing. That's what I like about that. I'm going to bring on some guests. I'm going to bring on Rory and Ariel Bean, Brandon Bulis, Joe, and Tony Walker. Stephen, if you want to go ahead and bring them on, let's bring them on, because I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to let them share with you guys really kind of what they're doing. Rather than me tell you guys, I'm going to let these guys share kind of what they've learned in the process of doing seminars, the do's, the don'ts, the whys, the why nots. So guys, thanks for coming on board today with me. Why don't you introduce yourselves, Rory and Ariel? Once you just started off, tell us where you're at. Kind of tell us about yourselves, and then I'll start asking some questions. How about that?
Sounds great. So first off, thank you for having us on. This is an honor being on the TWC. I always enjoy it when I get to be on the opportunity to do this. So my name is Rory Bean. This is my beautiful bride, Ariel Bean. We've been with the Alliance for 10 and a half years. We're out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, and we've been doing the estate planning stuff since April.
I think April 17th was our first event, and we've done 2 full mail drops, and we're in the middle of doing a couple of seminars this week.
Okay, awesome. So again, I think one of the things that I want to stress is following the system. So you guys started in April. What got you guys started or interested in doing the estate planning seminars? Let's just start with that question. So Rory says it's Ariel.
She's done this sort of stuff before, so I'm letting her talk on that.
Sure. So I used to work for a different IMO who just did annuities and IULs, and they did seminars. And they even had a seminar teaming up with attorneys before. So when you guys started doing this, I was like, I'm in 100%. 100%. This is better. This is cleaner. And I'm having a blast.
Okay. So you're used to it. So from a process standpoint, and walk us through what you see about the process, what you like about it. Tell us about, everything you love about it, maybe what you don't love, but tell us about the process just from the beginning. And then I'll let Joe and Tawny and Brandon introduce themselves.
Okay. So we started out, as soon as we heard about it, we went and saw, I was on the phone with Belle tons of times, and I love her accordingly because she is always there for us. But we went to the seminar that Scott hosted there in North Carolina in March, and just listening to the whole system and learning how the whole process is and learning what we needed to do. But one of the big things was location. We ended up researching different libraries, different community centers, different, educational places, schools and things like that. We looked into a lot of different places before we ever started this. Ariel would sit there and say, okay, I think I like this area. I like this area. And she is like the world's greatest researcher. So I really appreciate that about her, because she can look at an area and then break it down and say, okay, looking at this is going to attract this group of people. We know our zip codes because we've been living out here for years, and we've been running final expense. We've been running, mortgage protection. We've been running business out here, and we know who's got money and who doesn't, because we've been doing it.
Right. And so we looked up all the libraries and all the community centers that are somewhat close to us, and we went in person and we looked at every single one of them. We talked to the people there, and we picked the ones that were the best.
The ones that had the best rooms, or the best location, the best parking.
Or was open until 8 p.m. because some of them aren't open until, some of them close at 7 or earlier.
Okay, so you didn't just say, all right, I'm gonna go to this one and stick with it. You guys actually went physically to the location, checked it out, and I would say we probably checked out 15 to 20 venues before ever talking to anybody about where we wanted to do it at. Okay, so you did some prior preparation and planning.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. All right, hold that thought, Joe and Tawny. Once you guys introduce yourselves, I'm going to get your input on kind of location and kind of what you guys thought about. But introduce yourselves, share with everybody kind of where you're from, kind of your experience up to this point. Hey, Joe, you're muted. Hang on, I might can help. I don't know.
Boom. How about that? Huh?
Hey, that's better.
All right, cool. I didn't think everybody was fully great at lip reading only, so the sound works perfect. Hey, we are Joe and Tawny Walker, and we're part of Spitz Group, and we live up here in this corner of the world called Seattle, Washington. And we've been with the Alliance for quite some time now. I think I started part-time in 2006, and so coming up on 2 decades, man. That's crazy. Pretty close. But got my license in 2005. And when I got into the business, my wife thought it was a horrible idea, but this last paychecks we've been getting, she's reminded me that this is the best idea that I ever had. So it's been a great journey and a lot of ups and downs, but this is definitely an exciting part of the business with estate planning. We've lived in Seattle for 28 years now. And like Rory said about his community, we're really, really familiar with the community that we live in. So we kind of understand where the money is and what's going on because we've worked the entire state. I think in Washington State, I think there's maybe 2 or 3 counties that I don't have clients in, right? So I've been around, I feel like the guy said, I've been everywhere. Well, I've been everywhere in Washington, right? So I kind of understand what's going around in this place. So we started estate planning early in the year. A little bit about our story is that some of you guys probably already know. I got diagnosed with prostate cancer in October last year. And then, and I was in the process of getting my securities license. So I was like, and I failed my test. I was studying again. Then I got my diagnosis. So I kind of went underground for about 2 months. I had my surgery in December and recovered from that. And so now I'm starting to ramp back up into, getting my securities situation back up again. I get a call from Belle like January. She goes, hey, there's this thing that I found that might be something. And so she didn't give me too much information, but it turned out to be the estate planning stuff. And as soon as she told me about it, I said, I think we're in. And so we jumped in. They started doing their seminars earlier this year. And then we came and Chris, I think we watched 9 seminars. I think we went down, like Brandon, right? We went down and kind of fly on the wall there, watch what was going on. Brandon and Jennifer Bulis and Jacob Krause have been dear friends for many, many years. So we wanted to go down and go help them and just kind of see what was going on. And they allowed us to do that. So we were able to kind of be a fly on the wall. And it gave us a lot of encouragement, man, and a lot of boldness. And we were like, let's go ahead and start the journey ourselves. And I think it was March, was it? March, we got our office here and we hosted our very first seminar with our current clients because, once we got our office, Chris, there's some time that you have to have, like when you begin your mail drop, it takes about 6 weeks for them to actually put it in play. And then, you actually have your seminar, but we were ready to run, man. And we had already been talking to our clients about this new estate planning thing that we had going on, and we wanted to see if they wanted to go. So we called a bunch of great current clients. They said they wanted to come and be a part of our educational seminar. So we hosted one here at our office with our current clients, which turned out to be fantastic. And then we were already pipeline ready. We had a mail drop ready to go for our public seminar that we hosted here in our community in Kirkland. And that turned out amazing as well. So we've done a total of 2. We just initiated our 3rd one. We just reserved a spot for our 3rd one in another community in our area. And we just couldn't be more excited. We've already found some great business to write. If you want me to talk about that, I can. But my wife is tapping my knee saying it's time for me to shut up. There's just so much to talk about. I'm glad we're able to be on the call. So thank you for hosting and thank you for allowing us to be here and a part of this, the conversation. I hope it's valuable to everybody.
No, Joe, that was perfect. That's a good introduction. We're definitely going to come back. I want to talk about, I do want to talk about the current clients because I know current people are interested in that. So I want to come back about that. I do want to talk about numbers because I know people are interested in that. I do want to let Brandon introduce himself. And so Brandon, why don't you introduce yourself, kind of where you're from, and then we're going to circle back and just ask some questions of everybody and let them kind of go from there.
All right, Brandon and Jennifer Bulis in the great state of Washington as well. I've been in the company about 9 years on Diane Lampy's team, on part of the FIDS group. Happy to be on that team. Was very fortunate to have Joe in the same state, and he not only has Joe and Tawny been great friends, but also mentors and helped the learning curve through this. The estate planning to me, as soon as I've been in several other businesses, but as soon as I seen the Alliance and the overall business strategy for that, I absolutely loved it. And then saw this estate planning, and that was next level. Real quick on why I fell in love with the estate planning. It's actually multiple fold. First one was I got kind of knocked out of commission, if you will, in 2020. My father passed away, and I spent over 2.5 years going through probate and estate plan stuff. And we had an estate plan, we had a trust, we had wills, we had all this other stuff, but stuff wasn't current. So I was emotionally tied to it. And then see the qualified clients that come into it. It was an absolute no-brainer. I know we're going to get talking about the process and stuff like that, but for long-term business, individual writer, and then also being able to build an organization, it was a no-brainer for us. So Bell and Jake Kraus, we were talking about it, and they were gracious enough for us to join together as a team. I know you guys had done one prior. There have been a couple done prior, but we were at the very beginning portion, Jake, Bell, and I. And so we touched the stove and burned ourselves on some things that were out there. Great training by Scott Garcia. It's an amazing setup, but it's truly already turnkey, like you said, Chris. So looking forward to answering any questions you have. So Jake, Bell, and I have done, we did February, we did March, we did April, and then I think June, anyways, May, June. We've done 4 of them that we've shared. There are some cautions that I've got for if you're going to share seminars. And then I'm going to sound like a hypocrite. I've taken a little bit of a break, and I won't get back into seminars until August because my daughter got engaged and a short-term wedding. So I was spending about 2 months really jamming and getting ready for this wedding, but I cannot wait to get back into full of things. So great opportunity. Couldn't be happier to be part of it.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to go into and just ask some questions. Like I said, I think following the system is key. So learning the process. So as we go about and learn the process, Joe kind of mentioned it, you've got to, there's about a 6-week mail drop, right? So there's a 6-week period of time. So Rory, you mentioned that you guys did a lot of research trying to find your venue. I want to talk about that because you guys mentioned some stuff when we were talking earlier. You found a venue, you did 15 kind of site visits. Joe, you guys did kind of current clients. You had to find an office. That's one of the things that we want to talk about, right? You need an office, right? Because these are clients that have money, right? $500,000 and above. They expect that when you're meeting with them that they're coming to an office, right? Did you guys physically go out and rent an office? Do you have a Regis office? Kind of what did you guys do from an office standpoint? Can you guys, and this is open to you guys. Rory, you guys can answer it, and then Joe, and then Brandon, but did you guys physically rent an office? How did you guys handle that?
So we have an office. We've had an office for
a few years.
A couple of years. I think we had an office for 3 years. We've been in this particular location for 2. And when we picked out this office, our goal was we wanted to have a conference room. We wanted to have room where Ariel could be in one room, I could be in another. Then we have a little conference room and everything. So we picked this out a long time ago. And I can't tell you how well this has worked for us. Because we've got myself, we got Ariel, and we also have another agent, Maya, who we can all do, the estate planning, initial appointment all at the same time. And then we have a separate office for our admin that's way up in the front. She welcomes everybody in, and she can get everybody to the right location. So this particular location just is perfect. And it's within the distance that, the 20 minutes of all of our different venues that we've got.
Yeah, we're very centrally located in Colorado Springs. And we kind of picked it because we live centrally located, so it's close to our house. And just running the mailers, Colorado Springs is huge, so you can still take an hour from one appointment to the other appointment.
Just staying inside the county.
And this is just kind of an open question. You guys, this can be for anybody. How many of the clients that you guys have coming to the seminars, how many do you go to their houses, or how many percentage-wise do you guys think come to your office?
All of them come to our office.
Right. And that's been our experience, is that, when we run seminars, we haven't gone to anybody's house. The expectation is that very, very few, I would say, unless they can't get out, which we've had.
Right. And that's what the situation is.
Normally it's a health issue that they're not able to get out. 99% come to the office, and the expectation, it's a professional expectation. I say that for this reason. Think about it like this. I said at the very beginning, it's a turnkey system, right? Where you're mailing out, you're getting people coming to you. You're doing one place where you're going to a venue, you do one presentation, and then everybody else comes to you. So from a gas standpoint, from an expense standpoint, you're not spending anything. They're all coming to you. That was the reason that I made that comment.
Right.
From an expense standpoint, you're not driving the hour that Ariel just said to drive all over Colorado Springs. They're coming to you.
Right. When we were doing the final expense and the mortgage protection, we were averaging about 25 to 30,000 miles per car, her car and my car. So we're doing 50 to 60,000 miles a year on our cars. And now I think we put on like maybe 5,000 this year.
Right. Now let's be clear, right? You still have to do the other business, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You still have to do it because we still have to eat, right? This is in I think Brandon will tell you this, Joe, Ariel, Roy, you guys will all say this. The time frame for this is longer. All right, and we're going to get into this a little bit here in just a couple of minutes. We still need to run final expense. We still need to run all this other business. This is on top of this. I'm going to be clear.
Right.
This is something we do on top of everything else because we have to eat while we I don't want to call it well hunting because that's not what this is, but this is on top of the other business that we're doing. Okay, this is a great marketing piece, but this is marketing on top of the marketing that we're regularly doing. Would you guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would say that it's a great time saver. Not only that, like if somebody has to reschedule or is a no-show, you're just working at the office. So we have been out. I mean, once we've written business, we have gone out to see clients that happen to be within the 15, 20 minutes. Our bigger clients, we've gone out to their house to get signatures and other things. But by and far, you're just saving. It's just so much more professional, and you're saving time, and they're coming to you. And if they got to reschedule, that's you're still working. You lose no time. So our office experience, we had to go find an office. We've been working out of our home for the whole time that we've been in business. We happen to live in a pretty expensive part of Seattle. It's a very expensive part of Seattle, and we looked for a while, and then we kind of gave up the look we looked a couple of years ago, and we kind of gave it up because it was very expensive. I happened to look, we have a Regis close by that we did look at. We didn't think it was professional enough. We didn't think it smelled very good. I don't know. It just wasn't a very good. It wasn't a very good Regis, right? But it
smelled like a dollar store. Have you ever been inside of one of those?
Oh yeah.
You're like, no.
But I did look up an executive center. I was looking online, just office rental, and an executive center popped up. And so what we have done is we've rented one office for now, and it's a very nice part of Seattle in Bellevue. It's very ritzy. It's on a little lake. And we have a great lake view. There's other offices that I was looking at trying to be cheap. And I'm like, oh, let's get this office. And it had a hall view, or it had a, view of the parking lot. And Joe's like, no, I want that one. So, which is, again, a great idea. So it's, just as far as being professional and putting out the vibe that we wanted to put out. So we're able to sign a short-term lease. We just signed a 3-month lease to start because we didn't know, and we didn't want to be stuck with a long lease. And now we've been here for 4 months. And we've by far made all of our money back for sure. And And not only is it an expenditure, but we had to like furnish everything. I know Jake and Belle and Brandon, I think theirs came furnished maybe, but we had to furnish ours, and all that takes a little bit of time and a little bit of expenditure, but it's totally worth it. It just and it has changed the way that we run business and the way that we run home and work as well. And it's been a great thing.
So we've got between Bell and I think we've got a total of 5 in-home appointments. Every single one of those had to do as a result of inability of movement from the spouse. So the spouse, in order to have not a one-legged appointment, we went to those. I don't have the exact number. Jake will probably text me, but I think it's just a little bit above 3% of the overall appointments have been in-home. And as far as the office location, as soon as Jake and Bell got on this, they worked really quick to get an office just because of the compressed timeline. Similar to what Joe and Tawny were talking about, they got a short-term lease. I know Jake's actually been working, so it's a great location, but they're looking for even a better location. And what Rory and Ariel were talking about with location earlier. I've got a long-term lease for my personal office, and once we started doing the hotspot, and when I say hotspot, not the locations for where everything's at, I'm in an absolutely horrible area of the United States. So to come to where I'm at here with Jake and Bell, it's about an hour and a half. And then for my own, I'm probably going to have to be doing 3 different locations because otherwise I'll be like overfishing a pool. So I'll be rotating probably between 3 different locations, none of them which are even close to my home or my home office.
Good things to know. I want to talk a little bit more on location. So one of the things that we talked about, and I know we're running into this because I get a lot of questions. There are certain areas in the country that if you're not careful, you're going to get, what's the word? I don't want to use the word blackball, but you're not going to use the location, right? If you call a public library and tell them you're doing a seminar, right? They're gonna ask you immediately, are you selling anything, right? And if you tell them yes, they're gonna say, well, you can't use our location. Joe, Rory, Brand, how do you guys handle that? So that everybody on the call understands how to handle this question. We want to tell the truth, and how do you guys handle that question when you get asked that? And then how do you handle it at the seminar when your client asks the question to you? Because you have to handle it very specifically so that we tell the truth on both ends so that we can use the location.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I'll talk about the client aspect. I know Joe's going to, anyway, from the client aspect, it's an educational, this is an educational process, and so having it at a library, having it at a college or something like that, something that actually speaks education, something that speaks to the public, something that isn't over here politically or over here politically, something that's open to everybody and is for the greater good is going to be better. For example, you go to a church. Well, somebody might not be a church person, or maybe they're a different church person. So when it opens up to that, and it doesn't come across to the clients as if you're trying to sell something. So it's not like, hey, come on in for your free steak dinner. Let's go back to the conference room in a hotel type thing. So it's more inviting, especially to the type of clients that we're going to get. Joe, sorry about that.
No, I think it's perfect. That's one of the reasons why part of the strategy is to have the meeting in a public location, right? Whether it's a public library, community center. I know that Brandon knows guys do it at the Puyallup Community Center down there. We had ours at a little place called Heritage Hall, which is part of our Parks and Recreation Department of our city. And so when you do that, that is the big question they're going to ask you is, are you going to be selling something there? And your response really just needs to be simply, this is an educational seminar. And that's really all they need to hear, right? But you just have to keep to your word on it. love the presentation because the presentation's set up to be educational, right? And I have had people come to me after the presentation say, how much is it? How much is it? And I'm like, listen, this is purely an educational seminar, man. I can talk to you about that in the meeting, or that we have if you want to, but I can't really talk about that right here. And it's really cut and dry, to be honest with you. It's not, to me, it's not a really big hurdle to overcome. And in fact, it's kind of liberating because, you know, you don't want to have to, you want to have your focus on presenting. It takes a lot of energy to do that. And then for you to flip around and start talking about pricing and closing sales and everything, it's like, we can do it. And we have done it in insurance sales before, but for estate planning, it's a little bit more involved. So it really kind of lets you off the hook, Chris, to be able to just say, it's an educational seminar. I can't talk about that stuff right here, right now, but we can book an appointment. We can have plenty of conversation. Wouldn't you agree, Roy? I mean, a lot easier to do it that way.
Absolutely.
Right. And when we went to our library, what we said is we are doing an educational estate planning event. We're not doing any sales here. Is that okay? And they said, yeah, that's fine.
And then we had a community center that we had to do the whole thing. I had to stand in front of the community center board and convince them that I'm not doing sales at this thing. I'm like, I'm not doing sales. You know, we have, you know, our job is to educate the community. We've had a lot of people ask us if we can help with estate planning. And it's like, we're just trying to get the word out that, you know, this is available, you know, because people just don't know. So we're here to educate the people.
And also, I think a good thing to say that I've found when you're booking that is, hey, we have run there. These seminars have been run at libraries and at community centers around the nation, because that gives, like, we just filled out our venue reservation just a couple days ago for our next estate planning one. And the thing that I put is we just ran one of these seminars at Heritage Hall in Kirkland. At the community center, you know, it's not a community center, but it's a Parks and Rec. It's a Parks and Rec building. So I think if you let people know that these seminars have been run at libraries, they have been run at parks and community centers, that helps those people understand that, oh, this is what's happening, and it is for just educational, just estate planning, but. I think that's helped us been able to pass that hurdle as well, Chris.
Okay, great. Because I know we get that question a lot where they're asking them, you know, are you selling things? I know that, you know, that's a challenge. So that's a great thing. Like you said, you can use examples of other places that you've held them. So that's a great example, Tony. Thanks for sharing that.
Another comment. Last night we had a seminar going on, and I had someone after the seminar that said, hey, how much does this cost? And I flat out told them, it's like, listen, we have had attorneys in town that I've had clients tell me that typically a trust is, you know, $5,000 to $10,000. And we're not there. We're not at that. But I can't tell you how much it costs because of where I'm at. And they said, oh, because this is an educational seminar. I'm like, exactly, because I'd already mentioned it in the event. You know, when I introduce it, it's like, guys, this is an educational event. I can't take questions. If you have questions, write them down. Come to our office. We'll go over everything with you. How much does it cost? That's a question. Write it down. Bring it over to our office. We'll talk to you.
Also want to hit up, so that's for that portion of it. And from a sales point of view, you don't want to let them know anyways, right?
Right.
Because all they're doing is just price shopping. No, you want to get them in, you want to talk to them, you want to be able to find out what their needs are, right? And let's be real, right? You want to be able to sell them. You want to be able to find out what their hot buttons are before they're either turned on or turned off by the price of it. So then they're going to see what the price of it is, then they're going to go do their own price shopping. So it's a takeaway to be able to get them to get their butts in the office.
You can tell them it costs $25 and they'll still go, okay, and walk away. Right. So it's not about that. It's really just about pivoting to the appointment. Yeah. If you can't do that, you got nothing. Right.
And also, it is independent. Like, it does depend on your needs as far as an estate goes. Because some people do have the special needs kids. I mean, we have one ourselves. So it's like that price is going to be different than your standard price. So you can say with integrity, it depends on what your needs are, how much it costs. That's why we have everybody come in and have an individual consultation with us, because everybody's needs are a little bit different. So your trust might look a little bit different than somebody else's.
So on that point, and following the system, how important do you guys think it is? When we talk about following the system, how important is it to know the presentation inside and out? Roy's laughing, but how important is it to follow that from the very beginning to the very end? And you guys walk us through that and kind of your experiences. Rory, if you want to go first, I'll let you. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you guys tell us. And again, look, I've done the presentation. I will tell you, you get better, right? You get better from the first time you do it to the very last time you've done it. I'm sure you say, well, I forgot to do this the very first time. I know I got better the second time. The third time, I felt like I was a professional. The fourth time was like, man, this is easy. And I would tell anybody that's listening, guys, it's not rocket science, right? You do get better. It's hard to speak in front of people, but you do get better. But how important is it to follow the railroad tracks that have already been laid? How important is it? What do you guys think? Tell us your experience of doing it. You guys are the professionals. Like you said, you guys started, Brandon, you started back in February. Rory, you guys started April. Joe, you guys in the same kind of March, April, same time frame. Guys, tell us your experience as far as following the system, as far as the presentation.
Okay, so presentation is that's key. So what Chris is alluding to here, when we did our first presentation,
we were a mess.
We were a hot mess. Oh my Lordy. There's like 75, 80 people sitting in this room. And beforehand, I sat there and I listened to Scott do his presentation on the March 22nd at the Alliance. And I typed everything out word for word for what Scott did. And I printed it all up. 9 pages of outline notes that were not outlined. It was just word for word from what he said. And I bring this thing up in the front of this group with us, and I'm like, I was so nervous it was ridiculous. Now, Ariel, on the other hand, she's in the back with these numbers saying, hey, you've got 5 minutes left, or whatever, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. And so I am under the impression, I'd heard somewhere that you can stop it on any slide. They don't know any better. I'm like, okay, well, Ariel's pressuring me to know I have to get done. Well, you have an hour and 15 minutes. She thought it was an hour. Okay, getting to know your material, your presentation. What do you know? Okay, so she's trying to get me done in an hour, and I'm thinking I have an hour and 15. So now I don't even get to the end of the slides. I stopped, 15 minutes early, and
we did not finish the presentation
at all.
And so just to give you guys some numbers, that night we had somewhere about 70 people who showed up. And I think we wrote like 2 or 3 trusts from that one. The next night we had about 50 show up, and we had the other 12 trusts from that night. But that's just how much better we got. So yes, please, I don't care how much time you have left or don't have left, just finish the presentation.
And if you want a written out thing, Chris and Amber and those guys, they have it all on the ARC. It's there. I didn't know that. So I typed it all out. But it's available if you want to use it. And so what I did is so that was on April 17th. And then on the 18th in the morning, I came into the office and I'm like, I got to redo this. And so I made an outline that was catered to me. And I was able to tell my story instead of, faking it from Scott's story. And by using my own stories in it, I actually brought tears to people's eyes on the 18th, and it was very personal at that point. And using my stories in this, in the presentation,
Yeah.
people were just like, wow, this stuff is really important because this is happening to the guy that's in the front. It's like Ariel and I both have incredible stories when it comes to loss due to not having an estate plan. And, I brought that up on the next night, and I didn't do that on the first night. I got through all the slides, key element, okay? And everybody wanted to set up appointments with us. And we talked to a lot of people from the second night. And the first night, it was a disaster. But last night, we did another one, and Ariel was telling me, it's like, man, it's like you've been doing this forever, comparatively.
We had every single buying unit that came last night gave us green sheet back.
Or what do we call it? It's not a green
or
sheet
the information sheet.
Information
sheet. Yeah.
Yeah, the information sheet. Every buying unit from last night turned one in.
That's good turnaround, right? It's a key when you get all the way through the president, right? So,
Yeah.
So again, so Joe, go ahead and share your experience.
Yeah, I had the privilege of watching the presentation be done by Scott Garcia in the very beginning, right? And he's masterful at it in its own way, right? And Bell even told me, he's like, hey, he has kind of a way about him. You might want to watch out. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I did. And I'm like, listen, the guy gets it done. Listen, he writes $17 million in annuities a year. So he's got to be doing something right? And everybody has a way that they speak to their community that they live in. He's from Missouri. So maybe that's just the way they do it in Missouri. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, there's some things that I would change, I guess. I'd modify some things. Then I got a chance to hear Belle do hers, right? And I'm like, this is great. So literally that's probably 10 times. Literally probably seeing it 10 times before, we were getting ready to do it. So Chris, I sat down and I was like, man, I don't want to mess it up. I have a tendency to start to stumble over my words if I get a little nervous. So I'm like, I'm going to idiot-proof this thing. I'm writing everything out. So I really did. I hand wrote out my whole entire introduction. This is with my current clients. My whole entire introduction until I can get comfortably into the slides and then move through. I practiced multiple times in a room, all by myself, out loud. And I said, man, I sound crazy on this. I got to change this out. And then I got to the point where I'm like, listen, I'm not going to be able to memorize all this stuff. I'm just going to hold my notes. I don't even care, right? I'd rather these are the things that I found out that I really need to do. One is that, under stress, you're going to fall back to your level of training, right? It's always going to come back to that. You don't go to what you wish you could do. You're going to fall back to what you have repeatedly done over and over and over again. Brandon might be able to vouch for that on the military side, right? So this is what I knew that I needed to do. I needed to be clear. I needed to be enthusiastic. I needed to be genuine. I needed to be vulnerable, all right? And so in that, I was able to deliver a really powerful message to my people to the point where we were pulling up information sheets, all over the place. And the one criticism, I call it a criticism, I guess, maybe it's just an observation. I'm getting really loud. I may be even loud right now. I just have a really big voice. But one person walked out of the room and I thought he was gone, right? Well, he came back in later on and I was like, oh, he came back. All right, cool. Well, anyway, he came up to Tawny. He says, man, he has a lot of energy. I think I just chased him out the room because I was too fired up. I was really psyched about it because, listen, this is an awesome opportunity we have to deliver powerful information to people. It is life-changing, right? And, all of us have, for me, I've got a personal story about loss for my health and some things that could have happened. So it was awesome to be able to deliver this message. But I'm telling you, man, I practiced straight up. I held on to my notes and I read them until I got to the point where I can comfortably glance at my notes. I wrote in really big writing, so I had probably 30 pages of notes so that I could, because I wasn't going to write really small. I write chicken scratch crappy. So I had to like make them really big letters so that I could see with or without my glasses. And I made it happen, man. So yeah, with the presentation, yeah, you have some latitude to actually make it your own. We got through the presentation in just about 55 minutes to an hour, I think it was. We all the slides that Scott had put in, I did not use all those slides. I pulled some out, changed some things, and I modified them to meet the requirements of our state. But overall, I think it was a good presentation, and we're looking forward to doing it again. So I just practice, man. That's what I recommend. Getting the words down that you want to say, practice how you want to deliver them. Listen, there's a science and an art to everything, right? And the guys who are really smooth at it, they've mastered the art form of it, but they've really got the fundamentals down, right? So if we can understand what we need to say, we can practice how we're going to say it, which is the art form, right? And that's going to come out in the way that you communicate, whether it's Rory, like when you communicate with passion and vulnerability, or with me, when you're just super fired up, like out of your mind, and it sounds like you're shouting all the time. I do have that kind of voice. It's kind of weird. But yeah, man, I think the presentation's awesome. It really does have a great baseline for us to work with and deliver a powerful message that gets people to turn into information sheets. Those people are coming to your office, man.
And let me be clear, he didn't change the presentation, but you do have to make it state worthy for you. And there might be a couple things that, you just feel comfortable focusing on, or you have to pull them out or whatever. But we didn't change the presentation. We just made it compliant for our state.
Right.
And yeah, it's always like, I can say lots of things because I didn't have to stand up front, but it's very much like the ATM. You go through your ATM and you have all the slides, but you still have to make it your own, and you have your own stories. And that's what you do with this. It's just before a bigger group of people. You're not sitting down one-on-one or one-on-two. You're talking to a group. So that's what makes it maybe a little bit more nerve-wracking. But like Joe said, just like with your ATM, you practice your butt off, and the more you do it, the easier it gets, and the more you flow. And he did an amazing job. So it gets better every time.
Yep, no, I agree. And if I'm hearing you two guys, I'll let Brandon go here in a second. You make it personal, right? You tell some personal stories. Right, you make it personal. When I look at the presentation, Scott tells a personal story about himself, right, going through cancer. He tells that story when he was 18. I think in the presentation, it's like you said, it's like the ATM. It gives you a track to run on. When I look at that presentation, I spend a whole lot of time when I do it at the very end, right? The seven stories that he tells at the end, because that's the emotional tie downs. Right? If you can't find one of those 7 situations that affects somebody in that room of one of those 7, we don't do our job. They're going to have something of those 7 that has affected them somehow. So either our personal story hits them, or one of those 7 has affected them somehow. That's why he's got them in there. So that's, when we talk, or when I talk to people about that presentation, that's where you should focus your time. Everything else, like you said, that's the state guidelines, right? Probate. What's the probate guideline for here in North Carolina or Washington State or whatever state you're in? That's, I don't want to call it the fluff, but that's the stuff that the state has to do with. Those 7 situations, those 7 scenarios, that's the emotion. That's where you should be spending your time. If you guys have paid attention and looked at that presentation, that is what gets them to turn in that information sheet. And it's strategically located. It's the last thing you're doing, right? If that's something you're concerned about, turn in your information sheet. It's very strategic in the way that it's in the presentation, right, Brandon? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll go pretty quick because I know we're running a little short on time. To Joe's point and Rory's, you don't rise to the occasion. There is no such thing. You fall to your level of training. So if you rose to the occasion, then you did a good job of prepping yourself on the front side. And then the other thing is record yourself, go back, and Bell and Joe, I've witnessed both of them literally between an afternoon one and a night one. Go back, AAR after action review, critique yourself. Oh man, get your inflections, get your high points, and then come back and refine it. And as far as the process, this whole entire thing, guys, is a process. And right now we've only been talking about setting up the estate plan and helping them implement the estate plan. But remember, that's really not, setting up the estate plan is literally just getting the lead so that we can get to that next point, and that's the whole entire process. So we talk about process. We don't get to if we're going in a vehicle, we don't get to our destination and then put in the key, right? We have to put the key in the car. We don't bake the cake and then put in the eggs and the sugar. There's a process to the entire thing, and so follow the process. Great training on NA University.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I talked about a little bit, in the process, using name tags, things like that, whether you fill them out or print them out so you can engage with with the people that are there. But at the end of the seminar, Rory, Ariel, you guys talked about it. How many people do you guys have at the seminar so that you guys can make sure you get these information sheets and kind of expound on that? Do you guys follow up the next day, or are you guys trying to set appointments there? How is it how do you guys make sure you're set up for success? Kind of talk about, you guys walk through your plan at the end of the seminar, because again, you talked about, having 70 people there. That's a lot of people, and that's 35 buy-in units. Could be, I'd say the average could be, like here, North Carolina, Burlington's a small town, right? We had 30 to 35. Colorado Springs, it's a bigger town, right? You're gonna have bigger. Depends on where you're doing them. I would say on average, you're probably 30 to 50 so 20 to 25 buy-in units. If you're in a bigger, you may have, 70 to 75 people, so 30 to 35 buy-in units. How do you guys prepare for that? How do you guys handle that? How many people do you have there? What do you guys recommend? Kind of give us some, and everybody can, you guys share with kind of your game plan. Because again, it is planning, right? You can't just wing it. Right.
So we have at these events, there's Rory, he does the speaking, myself, we do have another agent on our team who is partnering up with us on the ones we're doing at our library, because she couldn't do them all on her own yet, so she's getting going with us. And then we also have our wonderful assistant, Amara, who is there with us as well. So at our library one, we do send Amara out probably about 30 minutes, 20 minutes before the event starts, because people are already coming in at that point. And our library is a little confusing, so she stands where everybody comes in so she can direct them where to go.
And she's just got a name tag on her shirt that says estate planning.
And her name's small.
So they know, that's who I need to talk to, because this is a huge library.
And then Maya and myself, we both have people coming in and we have all the name tags written out before, and we'll check people in, and that's mostly our way for tracking to see our numbers and also getting name tags on them. Because Rory he engages with the crowd the whole time, and so that way he can see their names, and it just goes a lot smoother that way. At the end of it, Rory does his final close, and he's like, hey, so if you guys are interested at all in coming and seeing us on a one-on-one appointment, what we need you to do is fill out these sheets and give them to the ladies in the back. And so Maya and Amara have computers up, and they are ready to set up the appointments. And then I'm closer to the door, and so I'm their last person. So typically they'll start coming to me, and I'll be like, and they'll give me their green sheet. I'll be like, oh, I'm so glad you want to talk to us. You have just a quick couple minutes so we can get you set up. And then I start directing them to the lady setting them up, and then once there's a line, everybody kind of starts going there. But then I'm still there to get their green sheets for the people who need to get running. Mm-hmm. And then the next day, Very next day, we're on the phones calling everybody who we just got their sheets, their information sheets.
So we had a seminar last night, and we've already called everybody at least once today. So as soon as we came in the office, we're on the phone calling these people up on the very next day for the previous seminar.
So you're not waiting 2 or 3 days to call these people.
This is get it done. It's fresh in their mind. And, and the way my phone call goes, I thank them. I thank them for attending our event. I had a guy on the phone this morning who was crying because he's never been thanked for attending an event before. And I said, hey, I just want to thank you for attending last night. And he says, really? That's so, I mean, he's an 88-year-old guy and he's sweet as can be. Do I think he'll get anything? No. But he appreciated the fact that I reached out to him. And everybody else is like that. And they're like, oh, yeah, I wanted to get on. I had to get out of the office. I mean, out of the place. I had to go somewhere. Thanks for calling so soon. Can you see us at this time? Absolutely. Get them onto the calendar, and now they're booked. So we're already booking. We've already booked we had 10 people last night, and we did not have internet last night. Their internet was down at the location, and so we're like, none of the computers is working. And so we ended up, we've already set up, I think, four follow-up appointments off of last night. And we only had 10 buying units. It was a small event compared to what we're used to seeing.
Okay. Joe, anything different that you guys do?
We did not set them up at our event. It just felt more, I think that's what we were encouraged to not do maybe, but we also had talked about it. I know that since then, Jake and Bell and Brandon have started to do a QR code on the bottom of their information sheet that will go to a scheduler. And so I think that they have scheduled, people can automatically schedule it. It's automated. But we have not, the other people will just call. So at ours, we personally just called the next day and set up appointments that way. I would say that everybody gets better at it. We could probably have called through a couple times. They're expecting your call. It's not like a final expense lead and they're like, don't bother me. Like, they're expecting you to call them. They're like, oh, good, you called. They're ready to book an appointment with you. So So no, we have not, but I think we did have help. Like that's what I love about the Krauses and the Bulises. Like we're just part of each other's lives. So we've gone down there, and as we're watching them, we're helping, and they came up and they helped us as well. So we always had, an extra 3 people. I'd say you would need at least 4 of you, I think is a good. It's nice to have 5, somebody who's kind of bored. I know we had a couple people come out to watch ours from North Carolina, a couple agents that aren't ours on our team. They just flew out to watch, and they helped us as well. So somebody to greet them, somebody to collect sheets. We did post people at the doors with folders, and so as you collected information sheets, they got the folder. If they didn't turn an information sheet in, that we didn't give them a folder back because
that's what you're supposed to do.
Change. Yeah, right. That's what we're supposed to do. So that's how ours went.
And a folder really just had contact information in it.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything super fancy. It wasn't any kind of
map to your office.
Map to the office, things like that. Right. So that's pretty simple. Yep.
Right. And to be clear, like Tawny said, the phone call's not hard. They already told you what day and time that they're available on the information sheet.
Right.
So it's hey, thanks for coming. I just wanted to set a time to come see you. You marked on your sheet that Wednesday at 10 was good. Is that time still available? So it's like it's not a lead. You're not calling to say, hey, you send information in. I'm calling it. It's hey, you told me this was. So it's a 2-minute phone call, right? It's very simple.
On the phone calls, Chris, I gotta just kind of expand on a little bit more on the front end. Is if you want your attendance to be on, like for us, we call them beforehand too. So we can call, like maybe some of you guys have done that too, but we're like, hey man, we call them just to thank them for coming, registering.
Mhm.
We tell them where parking is. You know, we answer any other like really easy questions. Some people are like, is there going to be food? I'm like, I have candy and water. And they're like, okay. Like, if there's not going to be a meal at 6, no, just come through. And there's a wing shop down the street, but you come through and we'll be in and out about an hour and a half. And they're like, okay, cool.
The library doesn't allow it.
Yeah, exactly. So like, we can't do that here. Sorry. And again, it's like dodging another bullet. Like, you don't have to feed them. You know, you don't have to talk about the cost of anything, and you don't have to feed them. But do call them early and just say, hey, man, thanks for coming. And you're going to see your attendance pop up a little bit more. So,
yeah, and you do get a copy of all this, guys. You get a copy of everybody that's attending. It comes right to your email. And we did do that call. So like if you're doing one on a Tuesday, you should call typically on that Friday. I think that's what we were advised. So that's what we did on the first. We called that Friday just to thank everybody for coming. So the same thing, just to coordinate and just say, hey, thanks for coming, you know, to the event that we're holding on Tuesday, whatever the date is. So yeah, I'm glad.
Chris, they answer the phone when you call them.
Correct. That's exactly right. They know your number because they've already seen it. They saw it on the mailer. So yeah, you should call them. You should call and verify. So exactly right. Brandon, sounds like you guys are doing a little different. Sounds like you guys have put a QR code, so a little bit different. How's that working?
I'm going to hold off right now on doing a QR code. It's a lot of small numbers. And the only reason I said that is we have had some people book via the QR code, which is great. Jake put it on there. They had it on the screen at the end and also on the page. However, we don't have enough statistical data to say whether or not that was effective. I don't know. We don't know yet what our no-show rate is off of that. You know, are we going to have a higher no-show rate because of that? So, and if you do the QR code, I would say if you do something like that, still follow up with them. Hey, I'm going to see you next Tuesday, next Wednesday, or whatever the case is, because that's when you're booking that appointment, whether it's in person at the table or whether you're calling the next day. That's another one of the 7 touches, right? We're actually talking to them again. Then we're saying their name and they're hearing our name.
Yeah. Perfect. So, guys, everybody's going to ask, and people are texting. I'm getting this. Share with us some stats, right? Share with us kind of what you have written, what you're expecting to write. Tell us the time frames. You know, this is. I said it. This is not a get rich quick scheme. Yes, it is going to bear fruit. Right? But you're the farmer. Brandon used that analogy. Guys, this is an amazing opportunity. I believe in it. I'm doing the seminars. If you don't know that, guys, I am running seminar appointments, right? We're doing seminars. We're writing business off of it. So I am doing it myself, but it's not an overnight, instantaneous money. We still have to run what we do every day. And I want people to understand that. So I'm going to let these guys tell you what they've done. They've been doing it. They're continuing to do it. Rory, Ariel, kind of what have you seen? What are you expecting to come in? And then I'm going to bring Rebecca and Amber on to talk about how to get started, things like that.
So as far as numbers, between the whole team, we've written about 29 estate plans, implemented 29 estate plans with the 2 seminars, the 2 mail drops. So far, we've had 2 people. So we started this, it was April 17th, and we've had 2 people complete the whole process where they've come back to do notarization, aside from Rory's mom, but we're not really counting her. And so the first one, they didn't really have a whole lot of assets. The second one does, and we're getting them in to go over financials.
Yeah, the second one has probably close to about 1.5 million in assets. They've got, just in 2 bank accounts, they've got $250,000 sitting in bank accounts.
Okay.
And then they have all kinds of 401ks and, Roth IRAs and they're like, can you guys help us? Because they've been talking to their advisor and the advisor isn't in contact with them, doesn't talk to them. It's like, they talked to me one time when I found out that I was their client, and that was the only time I've ever heard from them. And we've already started talking to them. They came in yesterday to do the notarization, so that was literally yesterday. And now he is trying to get his wife's calendar to figure out what they're looking like, and they're trying to get in here in the next week. So we start talking about the finances at that point.
Okay. And then and then I'm going to ask a question, and this is for the whole group. You guys can answer as you're going through. Are you guys hand holding them through the entire process, like funding and all that?
Not really, but I will tell you that Greg, the guy who came in yesterday, he has been dealing. He's a retired a retired colonel, in the Army, and he has sat there and he says, dealing with the VA, dealing with my retirement person, dealing with my doctor's appointments, dealing with my real estate, dealing with whatever the heck it is. He says, nobody cares anymore. I can't get anyone to actually help me do anything until I talk to ITS. These guys are bending over backwards to help me out. He said that Ed Kaiser was on the phone with him for an hour and 15 minutes just answering his questions. And this guy is not an idiot. He's got really, really good questions. And just sitting there listening to him talking, he says, this whole ITS system is just phenomenal. I've never had so many people that cared to help us out as much as you guys do. And so he wants us, to help him with his finances. He's wanting us to, he's already talked to Ed Kaiser a lot. And he named every one of the people that he talked to by name and said, Jill Ottemeyer, she spent an hour with us helping us get it funded. She answered every single one of my questions. And then there's Miss Vargas. It's like, okay. And I wish I could remember her first name. That's what he said. But it's Miss Vargas as far as he knows. And she was doing the implementation. And it's like every question I had, they would sit there and answer. It's like they didn't have anything else to do in the world because they were spending all their time with us. And this guy was so grateful. Then he comes into our office and, everybody guided him and said, hey, you need to go do this appointment first, then you do this appointment. Then, so I prepped him beforehand saying, this is how it's going to kind of work. And he was like, it worked just the way you said it was. And when they finished up a appointment, they got set up to the next appointment. And they were so grateful on how smooth everything worked. And the guy just wouldn't stop talking about how awesome ITS was. So no, we have not called them to follow up on each step, but everybody in the ITS system is doing that. And this guy was so grateful accordingly.
But we do track them, though, make sure they're going through it.
Right.
And that's fine. And I was going to say, because you can track it through the portal. So that's one of the things that I was asking. And Rebecca will talk about that a little bit. And that's one of the things that I would certainly say, hey, that's how to expedite it a little bit. But that's one of the things that we want to try to do, because it is a longer process, but expediting it, we can walk through that too. But I want to move on a little bit because we want to tell people how to get started. But thanks for that, Roy. That's good to hear. Joe, Tawny, what's kind of share some numbers for folks?
Well, we did have just again the one numbers that we have was 120 people attended our first seminar, our first public seminar, and we've written 17. Implemented 17 estate plans. And the cool thing about Acquire Direct, who did the marketing for us, is we didn't even know they were going to, somehow they linked our event to our business Facebook page. We didn't even know they were going to do that. And so Joe has thousands of friends on Facebook, and he's good. He's on and off, and he talks business every once in a while, talks barbecue every once in a while, talks life every once in a while. So it's pretty cool. But we had several people register to come to our event just because Acquire Direct had linked the registration to that. So that was kind of cool, and that was kind of unexpected. But it also brought in some of the warm market that people that we just know because we've been in this community for so long. And what's nice about that is none of our people have gotten through. Our first public event was August 29th. April 28, the last part of April. And then our private event was like the last part of March, but nobody's come out yet. I don't know. It's like summer in Seattle. I don't know why the reason is, but nobody's come out of those, like, to the notary appointments yet. But because we knew people who had come in, they were just like, can you help us? And one family just, there was a couple different families that asked for help on a couple different things. And so we were able to we wrote $1.3 million in annuities on 3 annuities, and we wrote a $62,000 IUL just from helping people that we already knew. And the cool thing is that
it paid us about $80,000. Pardon my interruption.
Yeah. Yep.
You can have a loud voice with that, Joe Walker.
I'm talking about.
I think 21,000 hit our account today. So yeah, a little bit more to go, but yeah, it's pretty cool to see those big, and we're still, doing our regular stuff. You can't wait on this. You gotta keep fishing and doing what you always do while you do this on the side. So, but those big paydays are very lovely, and yes, we're excited about it. So, there's a lot of money coming out of these financial appointments. We just haven't had any yet, but we'll keep you posted.
Awesome. Hey, Joe, Tawny, in like 2 or 3 minutes, how did you have a conversation with your current clients to invite them to a seminar?
Oh man, real simple. I said I would call him on. Tawny was really good at doing birthday texts and setting up current client reviews. So I would simply say, hey, I'd say, John, good talking with you, good chatting. Hey, before I let you go, there's a couple of different things that I really want you to know about. And one was, I'll talk about the critical illness stuff, and it's my segue into the estate planning. But I would say, hey, I don't know if you know this, but we just got a product out. It's called Critical Advantage, and this is what it does. This is how it's helped me. And I gotta pay out on an insurance claim early this last year or late this last year because of my cancer diagnosis. Then I'll say, and another thing that we just started doing is that we just took on estate planning. We have a lot of people who are asking questions after their life insurance portion about wills, trusts, and probate. And for a long time, we have not had an answer for them because we didn't know exactly where to go with it. But we've just partnered with a company called Integrated Trust Systems. They do an amazing job with it. And we're hosting an educational event on date X. And I wanted to know if you wanted to be on the VIP list for the invitation, because it's an exclusive deal. And they're like, we were just talking about that at the kitchen table. Yeah, we totally want to go. And really, that's it.
We didn't even have a date when he first started talking about it. He just said, hey, would you want to be invited? Would you want to, would you want to come to our event? And it'll be like next month or whenever. We weren't sure when we were running it at first. So he was talking about it to all of our current clients that way. We haven't even called through all of our current, those were just policy reviews that had actually been set up. Like, honestly, like a handful, maybe 30 people. We probably called 50 and then 30 came.
Yeah, we called 50 people.
And 30 said they would come.
And 36 people showed up. That's crazy. So
right. That's crazy. So you guys, so anybody that's out there that's maybe sitting on the fence or wanting to get practice before they maybe dive right in, they could go into their current client list, which I know is on the ARC, right? Like you said, reviews and reviews. They can go in there and just call those and, like you said, not even have a date in mind and maybe get a list of 30 or 40 people that are willing to talk estate planning, reach out to them and then hey, well, I've got an event planned now because I got 30 people that said they're interested. I mean, guys, that's an easy way to do it. And then they could get the funding, right? They could go out and write.
Yeah, and that's
10 or 15
it's the priming the pump, man.
And sometimes you don't know, when you first start, you don't know what you're not as good. You get better across the years, but sometimes they don't tell you everything that they have, even though you try to make sure they know that you do 401 rollovers and you do, you have Roth IRA stuff and you help with retirement. Like, you forget, or they don't tell you.
You haven't done everything about them. Yeah.
They don't always tell you. They're not always forthcoming with every account that they have. But then when they go through the trust system, they have it all in their funding. So
I was going to say, I'm going to have Rebecca on in a minute and talk about what she's found just kind of while she's doing funding. She's going to talk about that, but I'm going to let Brandon go and talk his numbers. Then I'll bring Rebecca on and just talk what she's found just in kind of an average in funding, what she's found sitting. But like you said, Joe and Tony, you might just find 1.3 million in annuities and 62,000 in IULs just from current clients. Ain't nothing wrong with that, right? So Brandon, why don't you share with us kind of numbers that you found, what you're expecting, because I know you found some numbers.
So we definitely found numbers overall on the attendance rate. It sits about 68% of the people that sign up are going to attend. And then Jake went through and we actually had hey, you didn't attend, call up, and then had a separate event for those people that didn't come. About 72% of the people that show up are buying units. And that's actually varied day to day on it. 85% people have turned in green sheets, and then we've been about a 70% book rate, initial book rate. Sometimes you got to go back through and get that. So between Bell and I think we're just under 80 implementations on there. Bell has written, I'm going to say close to $2 million and probably has another $2 million of annuities that are going to come out, assets under management and a bunch of different life insurance policies. Just from what we've gotten so far on this before the end of the year, I'm guessing there'll be somewhere at least 1.5 to 1.8 on annuities from the 4 that we've done so far. And then, guys, this is a process, right? Just remember this. We're implementing these estate plans, and you're not getting rich. You're not making a lot of money on the estate plans, right? Right now, we're currently getting $500 a pop, which, by the way, we were only getting $300 before that. So thanks, Andy, for the increase in the pay. But it's a process. Everybody's talking about they're just now getting through the notarization. Rory talked about the different processes through there. If you need money right now, go buy a stack of leads, run those things, and turn them into money in the next 2 weeks. This is planting a cherry tree. This is harvesting. It takes a while through there. And another key to that is going to be that because after they notarize, that's when you're going to have the financial appointment. You need to get that estate plan set up before you can actually go into those financial talks for the most part, by and large. And you need to, Bell always says you got to keep the pump primed, right? If you're pumping water and then you stop pumping water, you lose it all. The water goes down. So we're in 4, 5, 6 seminars so far, and we still have people coming through from the February, from the March, from the April on there. Haven't got anybody from the May that's through there. So what we've had so far, Chris, we will be reaping this harvest kind of like in a hay harvest, right? You have 4 different cuttings of hay. We've had some of the first cuttings and second cuttings from the February, March, but we'll continue to get paid from this all throughout the year. And then referrals are starting to come in now as well.
Right. And that's what's nice. Again, you're doing work, from February, you're getting paid July. You're going to do work in March, you're going to get paid. It's going to pay you all year, but you got to keep doing the work. It's a business, right? And we're all in business. You still got to do all the other things. So again, you're going to make an extra, let's just call it like it is. The idea is you're going to make an extra $150,000 to $200,000 from the seminars. That's the idea. It's an extra, right? That's what you want to do. And on top of the other money that you're making. Ain't nothing wrong with that, right? We're looking at this as an extra income from that standpoint. All right, guys, I appreciate you being on here. Rebecca, Stephen, can you promote Rebecca up here and Amber? Because I'm going to have them talk on some different ideas so we can show guys how to get started. Rebecca's going to talk about some numbers that she's found because she's been doing funding as well. I think Rebecca's going to be, hey, look at that. So, Rebecca, I know you've been doing funding on the funding side from the trust. Can you share with everybody kind of the numbers that you're seeing that maybe are just sitting idle as you're doing, the funding? The funding is the second part when somebody goes through the trust, they implement the eTrust platform, and then they do funding for that. Rebecca, you want to walk through and kind of see, tell folks what you guys are seeing and kind of the numbers that you see that are just sitting there from an asset standpoint?
Sure. So I have been able to assist with funding on about 35 estate plans that have been implemented right now. Of those estate plans, I just pulled some numbers super quick so I could give them to you guys. We're looking at over 20 million in assets, over 20 million in just those 35, averaging about 550,000 between those 35 cases in assets. And those assets, I'm not talking about things that are already stuck somewhere. These are assets that are sitting in 401ks that they've retired from the location. They're literally just sitting there. They're doing nothing with them. And we're finding them, and Brandon can be a testimony to this, but you can pull, I've seen $1.2, $1.3 million sitting in 401ks, 403bs. They haven't worked there in years. So we're able to get those assets. You can do annuities, whatever you need to do with them to make you more money and help those clients out. So that's a big thing in the funding that I'm seeing.
And so it goes back to kind of what Joe was saying, that, clients have these assets, they've forgotten about them, or they've just left them at work. They don't have anybody managing them. We see that in the funding. So again, that's why I was kind of saying from a hand-holding standpoint, we want to make sure that you're hand-holding it through the process so that you know that when they're done, you have to set it up to say, hey, at the end, we want to make sure that we go through these and we see that we have that financial appointment. So you say that on the front end, hey, I know once we implement the estate plan, we want to review all these things, because I think I have some ideas where we might be able to help these. So again, you just have to say that. And Rebecca, thanks for pulling those numbers together, just so people have some ideas of different things. Amber, I'm going to let you kind of walk through for everybody else is on the line where they would get started if they want to start on the estate plan, so they can see this on the ARC and everything they need to do to get started from that process.
Absolutely. Can you guys see my screen, and can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can do both.
Cool. Good deal. All right. So the first thing you guys are going to do to get started, what you're going to do is you're going to go to alliancecontracting.com, and you are going to find the integrated trust systems link. It's going to be right under next companies to add. You guys need to sign this. If you have not signed this NDA, then you're not getting all of our communication from the Alliance. And that's really important. Without this NDA, we don't have a list of who we can send information to. So if you're not sure if you've signed it, log in, click it. If you click it, it'll either be empty, this NDA will be empty, or you'll see that it was already signed on a specific date. So as you can see, this is an example of mine. It has been signed. So if you're unsure if you have signed it electronically, even if you think you've signed a paper one in the past, it is better if you just go in here and sign it electronically for us as well. So that's step one. And then step two is you would go into the ARC. Let's hope it's still open on my end. Yep. So you go into the ARC, and then you can go under connections, and you'll find ITS, CRN number, estate planning. You'll click that. It's going to bring you to this page here. And then you'll click the complete registration here, and you'll go through the registration process. And that is through the website with Integrated Trust Systems. And to kind of show you more of what that looks like, it's going to look like this, and you're going to put that code. So when you were on the ARC's website, you saw this CRN number here. That's our CRN number for you to be a part of our team. So when you get to the Integrated Trust Systems website, you're going to put that exact number into their box. You're going to submit the application. And then from there, you're just going to get a generic form that you need to fill out with your first and last name, your business address. If you are not a legal business, that's okay. Just put in your home address. It does ask for a company's name. That company name can be Amber Bowen LLC or Amber Bowen Insurance or whatever. It doesn't have to be a legal business name. It's just a name that Integrated Trust Systems is going to look at you as. You do not need to put in your banking instructions because Integrated Trust Systems is not paying you. The ARC is paying you. And we already have your banking instructions via the ARC. So you do not need to fill that section out. And then you'll just answer these questions appropriately. And in the very last box, it says describe your marketplace. Feel free to fill that section out. But if you put in NA or not applicable, it's going to submit yourself just fine. You'll hit submit registration. And then from there, it's going to provide you with an ITS number. So there's a 2-step process with getting registered with ITS. Number 1, NAA contracting, sign that NDA. Number 2, go to the Integrated Trust Systems website, get yourself a writing number. If you don't do both, then you're missing a pretty important section and you're not either getting information or you don't have a number. So that would be step 2. Step 3, we have, let me pull my PowerPoint back up. Step 3, you're definitely going to want to get on these. Oh no, did I close my PowerPoint? Oh well. Okay, so step 3, you are going to make sure that you're on our Thursday trainings. They're really awesome. Scott is normally on those Thursday trainings. To get the information about those Thursday training calls, you're going to be on our list from signing that NDA. So usually every Wednesday we put out a blast asking for you to jump on the call on Thursdays. Those calls are awesome. They're very informative. You can chit chat with Scott. You can ask specific questions. So I do highly recommend that you get on those Thursday calls. And then if you go to NAA University, you're going to find all different types of training. And I do still have that up. So I'm going to share that screen real fast. All right. So within... Can you see the NA University screen? Yes. Okay. So when you're in NA University, you can go to courses. We have a course that I know we're really speeding through this. How do you get signed up? But there is a course on how you get signed up. You'll just scroll down here. You'll choose estate planning. And we've done a pre-seminar steps, everything that you need to do prior to the seminar. One of those steps being once you get totally registered, you've got your ITS number, how you reach out to our team to get mailing started. So you'll email the estate planning at naaleads.com, a list of zip codes that you're interested in running business in. And we're going to get you connected with our leads team. And then from there, you need to have all of this information set up, everything they've talked about on the call today, the venue that you're going to use. You need to have a lead time. So they need about 5 weeks to get these mailings together and get them out. So don't think that when you put down money to buy the leads that you're going to be able to run something next week. They need a 5-week lead time to do that. So definitely go through this course, learn what you need to do to get started 100%. Again, that's the email you're going to email us at if you have any questions. Another great thing that we have on Alliance University is when you do go to do the seminar, you're going to go to resources and scroll all the way to the very bottom. And you will find all of the estate planning tools here. This is the actual estate planning presentation. You click that, it's going to download a PowerPoint, and you have the entire PowerPoint for your review. You can go in there and make changes, add your face to it, all that good stuff. You're going to have your note sheets for the seminar, that welcome information sheet that we've talked about. They talked about how you turn this in at the end of the seminar that circles the date that they want to come in, that they're available to come in for a meeting. That's what this is. So all of those products are found right here under resources. And then lastly, you can go to the video vault in NAAU, categorize yourself down to estate planning, and you can find all different types of trainings that we've recorded in the past. You can see an actual live seminar. So here's an example where Scott Garcia did an estate planning seminar, what the hour and 15 minutes looks like. all different kinds of trainings that we have available. So you guys just reach out to us if you have any questions. We are here to help you guys, help you blow it up. Again, I'm going to throw our email back up there if I can. Just reach out to us at estateplanning@naaleads.com, and we will help direct you wherever you need to go. Anything else you want to add, Chris? Or
No, ma'am. I think that is what we needed to cover as far as getting started. Biggest things there, like I said, they can reach out to us for help if they need help getting started, needed help kind of getting a game plan. I wanted to say thanks to Joe and Tawny, Brandon, Rory, and Ariel for joining the call. Guys, we do appreciate your time, answering questions, helping us all with that. Again, reach out to us from a marketing standpoint if you guys need help kind of getting started, trying to get an idea from that standpoint. Guys, we do think that this is a great way to supplement business. We want you guys to get started. We want to help you guys get on the right path. So reach out to us. Amber, you want to put the email for the estate planning email as well if you guys want to specifically ask questions in the chat. Or so that do you have that on a PowerPoint screen? I don't know if they can see the chat.
yes, I do. Give me just a second and I'll share it.
Yeah, there is a specific email that we use for the estate planning as well. So, and then family reunion coming up as well. Make sure that if you haven't bought tickets to family reunion, make sure you do that. August 1st as well. We're doing a training on August 1st, the day before family reunion, that is specifically designed advanced planning, but especially on the estate planning. All of the guys that are on this call today are going to be here, so we're going to specifically talk about estate planning, how to get started. Any questions, we're going to do a deep dive, even more so than we did today. So guys, please come out and join us. We're going to have a Nexus annuity carriers, F&G are going to be here. We're going to have a lot more in-depth training on that. So make sure you get tickets to family reunion. Join us that day as well. And we look forward to seeing everybody here. It is 2:00. We want to make sure we're respectful for everybody's time. Guys, we do appreciate you joining us. Again, thank you everybody for joining us today. We do greatly appreciate it. And there is the email so that everybody can reach us for the estate planning as well. Guys, we look forward to helping everybody and look forward to a great end to 2024. So reach out to us. We look forward to helping. Thank you, guys.